In previous lecture we studied the different types of motion: subsonic, sonic, supersonic, and we also discussed the formation of wave fronts when a point disturbance is moving with some speed, supersonic or subsonic. This is the related problem in which the particle is moving, and it is moving in a medium which is at temperature of 15 degrees C. The two disturbance spheres are shown. One disturbance sphere is from point A, the wave which was emitted from point A, and the other wavefront is shown for the wave which was emitted when the particle was at point B. The final arbitrary location of the particle is also shown. So in this problem we have to find the Mach number and the velocity of the particle. To solve this problem, we mark or we assume a distance x between point B and the final location of the particle. We assume a distance x between B and the final location of the particle. So the particle, when was at A, it emitted wave and it was moving towards the left. When it passed through B, it emitted another wave. When the particle reached up to the final point, the wave fronts in spherical form are shown. To determine the Mach number, we use the formula m equal to v over a, and then we multiply the numerator and denominator with delta t. This will give the distance traveled by the wavefront. Distance traveled by the wavefront is a delta t, and the distance covered by the particle is v multiplied by delta t. So if we consider point A, if we choose our reference as point A, the distance traveled by the particle from point A is 2 plus x, and the distance traveled by the wavefront is 6. If we consider B as our reference, the distance traveled by the particle with B from B is x, and the distance traveled by the wavefront is 2 meter. We solve the above equation and we get x equal to 1 meter. By substituting x equal to 1 in the above equation, the Mach number comes out to be 0.5. For the velocity of the particle, first we determine the velocity of sound since the temperature is given. After substituting the value of gamma, r and temperature, the velocity of sound is 340.2. For velocity of the particle, we multiply Mach number with the velocity of sound. This gives 170.1 meter per second. The next problem includes the supersonic motion. The particle is moving in air when the temperature is 20 degrees C. When the particle passes at point A, it emits wave, and then it is moving towards the left. When it passes through B, it emits another wave. The final location of the particle is shown. When the particle reaches the final location, the wave fronts from point A and point B are shown. The wavefront, the distance traveled by the wavefront is 9 meter. The distance traveled by the wavefront at point B is 4 meter. So this is the snapshot at the final instant for the particle and for the wavefronts. We have to find the Mach number, velocity of particle, and then the Mach angle. Since the problem is of supersonic flow, as it appears from the shape of the wave fronts, The Mach angle, which is the angle of the half angle of the cone, has also to be determined. We follow the similar procedure as it was in the previous problem. We mark the distance between point B and final location of the particle as x, and we find we use the relation of Mach number V over A, and then multiply the numerator and denominator with delta t. So this will become the distance traveled by the wavefront when our reference is A. The distance traveled by the wavefront is 9. The distance traveled by the particle from A is 9 plus 7 plus 4 plus x. If we see the distances, if we measure or if we calculate the radius, sum the radius and the intermediate distances, then it is 9 plus 7 plus 4 plus x. If our reference is point B, the distance traveled by the particle is x, the distance traveled by the wavefront is 4. We solve the two equations, we will get x equal to 60. Another method to find the value of x is to solve the similar triangles. We can create the similar triangles by drawing the tangent, by passing a tangent through the particle, and the two triangles are AB, and this point we can name this point as C, and the other triangle is AP, and at this location we can mark point T. So APD and ABC will be similar triangles. So we compare the hypotenuse of the two triangles and the perpendiculars. So the distance is 9 plus 7 plus 4 for the smaller triangle, divided by 5. The complete radius is 9. If we subtract 4, this remains 5. For the bigger triangle, 9 plus 7 plus 4 plus x divided by the perpendicular distance, it is 9. If we solve this equation, we again get 60. So to find the value of x, we can either use the formula of Mach number, and or we can use the similar triangles that can be constructed from the figure shown. After calculating x, the velocity of sound is under root gamma RT for the perfect gas. The temperature is 20, so in Kelvin it will be 293. After substituting the values, the velocity of sound is 343 meter per second. Then multiplication of velocity of sound with Mach number gives 1372 meter per second. In the above equation, x was 16, so we can simply substitute x in the first equation and we will get Mach number equal to 4. And from Mach number value and velocity of sound, we can find the velocity of the particle. Then finally we have to find the Mach angle. So from the previous topic, we know that sine mu is equal to 1 over m. Using the triangles, we can derive, or we also studied in the previous topic, that sine mu is equal to 1 over m, and this gives mu equal to 14.5. This means the half angle from the horizontal and this edge, the angle is 14.5. In next problem, the aircraft is moving at an altitude of 2000 meter and it passes over the head of an observer on the ground. The Mach number of the aircraft is 1.5. The temperature is constant, it is 10 degrees C. and we have to find the speed of the aircraft and the time after which the person on the ground will hear the noise of the plane. So G is the location of the observer on the ground, and the horizontal path of the plane is shown. Now we suppose that when the airplane passes through A, it emits wave, although it is continuously emitting wave, but we are assuming a point A at which the wave is emitted, and finally the wavefront moves and it reaches the ground at some instant. When the wavefront from A reaches the ground, the plane itself has moved ahead. It is at point B. Since the case is of supersonic motion, the observer on the ground will not hear the noise of the plane in advance. The observer will sense the motion of the airplane after it has covered a sufficient distance. So when the plane reaches B, the wavefront from A reaches the ground. As we discussed in the previous topic, that the size of the wavefront is dependent on time. So after some time the wavefront will travel, it will move, and it will come in contact with the observer. When it will come in contact with the observer will know that the plane has passed. So the temperature is given 10 degrees C. From 10 degrees C we can find the velocity of sound. It comes out to be 337 meter per second. From the Mach number we find the velocity of the plane, 505.8. Then angle of the cone can be determined using Mach number. Sin mu equal to 1 over m. This gives mu equal to 41.8. So after getting the Mach angle, we can solve the triangle. The angle is 41.8. We have to basically find the distance ahead of the observer in the horizontal direction, after which the wavefront from A passes through G. So CB is the distance, C is the direct location above the observer, and CB is the distance which the plane has travelled directly ahead from the observer. So 2000 is the perpendicular distance, and BC is the distance travelled by the aircraft, or the horizontal distance between the aircraft and the observer on the ground. So BC is calculated from the trigonometric relation. It comes out to be 2252 meters. The distance is 2252 meters. The velocity of the airplane is 505.8. This gives time equal to 4.4 seconds. So this means the observer will feel or hear the noise of the airplane after 4.4 seconds when it has passed directly above the observer. So these were few problems related to the topic which were covered in the previous lecture. In the previous lecture we studied basic types of flow: subsonic, sonic and supersonic. In the actual problems, the case is relatively complex, and due to the complexity of the case, there are various sub-regimes. In addition to subsonic, sonic and supersonic, we have various other regimes. To understand this topic, suppose there is a fluid which passes through, suppose there is a fluid which is passing through an airfoil. This airfoil is an obstruction. When the fluid will pass through the airfoil, the properties will change. The local velocity near the airfoil, the local temperature near the airfoil will change. So the Mach number which is far away from the airfoil will be different when compared to the Mach number near the airfoil. Since the velocity near the airfoil is continuously changing, similarly the temperature is continuously changing, the Mach number will change. In the first case, suppose Mach number much before the airfoil is 0.8. We use a symbol infinity in the subscript. M infinity is the Mach number much before or far away from the airfoil. Similarly, V infinity is the velocity far away from the airfoil, or we can say that it is free stream velocity. Similarly, velocity of sound depends on temperature. Particularly for perfect gas, we have a simple relation under root gamma RT. So velocity of sound is directly related to temperature. So temperature will also vary as the fluid is moving over the airfoil. So similarly, we have A infinity. A infinity is the free stream velocity of sound. From free stream velocity of sound and free stream velocity of the fluid, we get free stream Mach number. On the other hand, if we use simple m without infinity, it is V over m. So this m will vary. At the front location of airfoil, the Mach number can be different. In the middle of the airfoil, the Mach number can change, and at the trailing edge, the Mach number can again change. So it is changing from point to point. So if the Mach number infinity is suppose less than 0.8, if the Mach number infinity is less than 0.8, the Mach number will change. The studies show that Mach number will change, but as it passes through the airfoil, the Mach number is always less than 1. The Mach number, suppose near the leading edge is 0.85, and as it moves it becomes 0.9. Mach number is changing, but it is always less than 1. So this type of flow will be termed as subsonic flow. When Mach number infinity is less than 0.8, the flow is subsonic flow, because the flow overall basis it is remaining less than 1. So this flow is termed as subsonic flow. 0.8 is a typical value. This value changes slightly in different books. For example, some books can include m infinity less than 0.7 as a subsonic flow. So this is an approximate value. Now we consider the second case. In the second case, Mach number infinity is between 0.8 and 1. When the flow with this Mach number approaches the airfoil, the Mach number locally changes. As it moves above the airfoil, the Mach number can increase due to decreased area. The Mach number increases and it enters the supersonic region. It enters the supersonic region, Mach number is greater than 1. the local Mach number is greater than 1, and when the fluid finds a sufficient space, the Mach number again reduces. So flow is initially subsonic, then becomes supersonic, then again becomes subsonic. This type of flow is transonic flow. Between point A to 1, the Mach number is transonic flow. In the third case, Mach number infinity is supposed between 1 to 1.2. Now this 1 to 1.2 region is basically supersonic region. From the basic knowledge from the basic criteria, it is in the supersonic region, but this is slightly supersonic, and this can also result in mixed region. Somewhere it will be subsonic, supersonic. This also results in mixed region. If we see the figure of this case, a shock occurs before the airfoil. We will be discussing the different types of shock in the next lectures. A shock occurs before the airfoil. Since the flow is supersonic, slightly supersonic, greater than 1, it does not know in advance that an airfoil is ahead. When the fluid does not know in advance, when it reaches near the airfoil, there is a sudden stop to the fluid flow. There is a sudden deacceleration to the fluid flow, and the flow becomes subsonic near the airfoil. So you can see it is m less than 1 near the airfoil. As the fluid passes the airfoil, it finds a sufficient space. The Mach number increases, m is greater than 1, and at the trailing edge, the fluid from the top and bottom merge, and this again results in oblique shock. So in this overall flow pattern, we can see subsonic flow, locally subsonic, locally supersonic. So this regime between 1 to 1.2 is also the transonic flow. Transonic flow is the case when Mach number infinity is between 0.8 to 1.2, because when Mach number is close to 1, sometimes at some locations it becomes subsonic, some locations it becomes supersonic. In the fourth case, for example, we consider a simple wedge type element. Mach number infinity is suppose 1.2. It is greater than 1.2. When this flow approaches the wedge type element, as the flow is supersonic, it directly hits the obstacle, it directly hits the wedge type surface. As we have discussed previously, the supersonic flow does not know in advance the downstream objects. So the flow directly hits the wedge type element, and there is a sudden deacceleration, and that deacceleration is through an oblique shock. When the oblique shock occurs, usually the flow remains in the supersonic region. Suppose initially the Mach number is 1.3. When the oblique shock occurs, the Mach number locally is suppose 1.1. So 1.3 and 1.1 are both greater than 1. So this type of flow on overall basis is termed as supersonic flow. The basic definition of supersonic flow is m greater than 1. But from the practical point of view and from the point of view of M infinity, in terms of M infinity, we say that the supersonic flow is one in which M infinity is greater than 1.2. In the fifth case, Mach number is very high, it is greater than 5. So this flow is hypersonic flow. The only difference between supersonic and hypersonic is the magnitude. When the magnitude of M infinity changes, it is much higher, it is 5. The oblique shock location moves toward the Wesch type element, but still the Mach number is greater than 1. Overall the Mach number is greater than 1, but since the value of free stream Mach number is very high, we term that flow as a hypersonic flow. Apart from this, there can be other cases. For example, M infinity approaches 0. When Mach number infinity is less than 0.8, it is termed as subsonic flow. Incompressible flow is a special case of subsonic flow. When M infinity approaches 0, the flow is incompressible. In the next classes, we will discuss its criteria, that when Mach number infinity is less than 0.3, that is termed as incompressible flow. It is considered as an incompressible flow. But for the perfect case, M infinity approaches 0 for the incompressible flow. M infinity is 0 when V infinity is 0. When the fluid is moving with very low velocity, or the particle within the fluid medium is moving with very low velocity, then M infinity is equal to 0. Another case is that when A infinity is equal to infinity. M infinity can be 0 when A infinity is infinity. A infinity can be infinite when the flow is truly incompressible. According to basic definition of A is A square is equal to dP over d rho. So when there is no d rho, if the d rho is change in density, if there is no change in density, then A infinity will become infinite, and in that case Mach number, the free stream Mach number, will become 0. Now, use of Mach number in governing equations. The equations which will be developed for the isentropic flow or non-isentropic flow will be written in terms of Mach number. Since it is the most important parameter for the compressible flow, all the equations will be written in terms of Mach number. And in the book, in any compressible flow or gas dynamics book, there is a chart or table for isentropic flow. There is a table for the shock flow. There is a table for flow with friction. In all the tables, the first column is, or one of the column is Mach number. From the Mach number we will get the values of the changes in property. So first is mass flow rate or continuity equation. In the continuity equation, rho is density density for the perfect gas is P over RT. According to the definition of Mach number, V is equal to MA. For the perfect gas, A is equal to under root gamma RT. So we substitute rho equal to P over RT, and area is as it is. V is written as Mach number under root gamma RT. So this is constant. The left hand side is basically mass flow rate rho AB, and it is written in terms of Mach number. It is written in terms of Mach number and written in terms of pressure and temperature, which are more common in calculations when compared to density. Similarly, for the isentropic flow and other types of flows, we are interested in writing the quantities as the stagnation. We are writing the quantities in terms of stagnation quantities. For the problems in which the kinetic and potential energy changes are negligible, the enthalpy represents the total energy of a fluid. In most of the applications, there are four types of energies considered. One is kinetic energy, potential energy, flow energy, which is pressure, and internal energy. In some devices, the change in potential energy and kinetic energy is negligible. The changes in pressure and internal energy are major. So the energy change is simply H2 minus H1 or delta H. For example, in refrigeration systems, if we are considering condenser, evaporator, the change in energies are written in terms of delta H. For high speed flows such as in jet engines, the potential energy change is still negligible, but the kinetic energy change is significant. In that case, we combine the enthalpy or static enthalpy with the kinetic enthalpy or dynamic enthalpy. The dynamic enthalpy, which is V square over 2, and the static enthalpy, which is H. The total is termed as stagnation or total enthalpy. The subscript used is T for total, and in books, not symbol or not subscript is used. H naught equal to H plus V square over 2. So stagnation enthalpy represents the total energy of a flowing fluid stream per unit mass. Stagnation enthalpy represents the enthalpy of a fluid when it is brought to rest adiabatically. If the fluid is moving with very high speed, it has energy, flow energy, it has kinetic energy, and it has internal energy. When it is brought to rest, kinetic energy will become zero and it will convert into flow or internal energy. The properties of fluid at the stagnation state are called stagnation properties. During the stagnation process, the kinetic energy is converted into enthalpy as discussed. Similar is the case with the temperature. Stagnation or total temperature is the temperature of the gas attained when it is brought to rest adiabatically. Total temperature is static temperature plus V square over 2 Cp. V square over 2 Cp is dynamic temperature. The value of dynamic temperature can be sometimes significant, or it can be significant in case of high speed flows. As an example, suppose the fluid is flowing, the static temperature is 300 Kelvin and velocity is 100 meter per second. Suppose this fluid is brought to rest. Suppose there is a temperature probe. At the tip of the temperature probe, the velocity will become 0. That is the stagnation location. When it is brought to rest, the temperature rises and the temperature becomes 305 Kelvin. This means 100 meter per second is equivalent to 5 Kelvin temperature. That 5 Kelvin is the dynamic temperature. Total temperature is 305, static temperature is 300 Kelvin. Another quantity is stagnation pressure. When the fluid is brought to rest isentropically, it is called stagnation pressure. For the enthalpy and temperature, we have used the phrase brought to rest adiabatically. But for the pressure, for the stagnation pressure, we are using brought to rest isentropically. This means that there is no heat transfer, there is no frictional loss. We are assuming for the definition of stagnation pressure that the fluid is brought to rest isentropically. The further relations used for bringing the stagnation quantities in terms of Mach number are V square equal to m square a square, which is according to definition of Mach number, then a square equal to gamma RT, which is velocity of sound relation. We put V square and a square, we put V square a square in the total enthalpy formula, and then we use the relation for Cp and R according from the thermodynamics background. Then after solving and eliminating gamma from Cp relation and total enthalpy relation, we get this formula. Or we are eliminating, or we are combining CPT. CPT is enthalpy. For the perfect gas, H is equal to CPT. So we take H out of the bracket. We take common H, and we get a relation between total enthalpy and static enthalpy in terms of Mach number. If we know the Mach number, we can find the ratio between total enthalpy and static enthalpy. For the perfect gas, H is equal to CPT. A similar relation can be written for total temperature and static temperature. If we know the Mach number, we can find the ratio between total temperature and static temperature. From the total temperature and static temperature, the ratio between total pressure and static pressure can be determined. This is the isentropic relation for pressure versus temperature. When we are defining the stagnation pressure, we are saying that it is the pressure when the flow is brought isentropically to rest. It is not necessary that flow which is taking place is isentropic. For the definition purpose of stagnation pressure, we assume an imaginary process between the static quantity and the stagnation quantity. We are assuming an isentropic process between static pressure and stagnation pressure. We are assuming the isentropic process, an imaginary isentropic process between static and stagnation condition. So the total pressure and static pressure ratio is also now in terms of Mach number. A similar relation exists for density and temperature for the isentropic process. So we get a relation of total density in terms of static density and Mach number. So the actual flow field may not be adiabatic or isentropic. Suppose the flow is with friction. When the flow is with friction, the total pressure will change. At one location, the total pressure, when compared to the total pressure at the other location, the total pressure will change when the flow is non-isentropic. But for a particular point, if we are determining the, suppose at point 1, we are defining the static pressure and stagnation pressure. At point 1, there is an imaginary process between static pressure and stagnation pressure. There is an imaginary isentropic process.